Lab Addicts Music Group.
What's goody? What's goody? What's good? Hope everybody's having a good Thursday. It's time for another edition of Adult Conversation with Maas. Looks like we're going to be talking about the jobs report. And before we go any further, we got to give thanks to the Most High for allowing us to see another day. Another sunrise, another sunset, and another day, another chance to love on people we cherish.
Lab Addicts Music Group.
With that being said, shouts out to everybody who's watching on Facebook. Shouts out to everybody that's watching on Twitch, Facebook, Instagram, and most definitely the MA family and everybody right here on YouTube. I missed y'all Tuesday. I did come on and do a live Tuesday night, but it was late night. It was gaming. I had a meeting that ran over, so I apologize to everybody who came through on Tuesday, and I wasn't here. But yeah, the jobs report. We're gonna talk about the numbers, the narrative, and what it actually means for workers right now. Now, here's where the data stands. According to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, the unemployment rate rose to 4.6 in November, the highest level that it's been in the last 4 years. This number is up from 4.2% a year ago, and that 0.4 represents millions of Americans without work or who are actively searching for work. Now, I do a lot of my work on LinkedIn, which is a jobs seeker, HR cornucopia of people looking for jobs or trying to help people get jobs. And just in the last 2 weeks, I have seen a spike of people's profiles that have a window looking for work, ready to work. And everybody is trying to help everybody. People are reposting people's profiles. They're looking for work, trying to get people access. Because the way things are right now, if you don't catch the job right when it is posted, within 1 or 2 hours, the job will have about 200 resumes. So 4.6, the highest the unemployment rate has been in the last 4 years. And at the same time, you'll see certain news agencies, media, saying that it was a good November because 64,000 jobs were added in November. But being that this was a delayed jobs report, the numbers of October came out as well yesterday. And in October, 106,000 people lost their jobs. So basically, it's a negative of 38,000 jobs. 38,000 people are out of work. And they try to spin the 64,000 as positive news, but it just tells part of the story. And a lot of the lost jobs is basically the numbers from Doge's cuts, Doge's job cuts. Basically, those are the numbers that were added to the jobs report for October. But there's also a wrinkle in those statistics because during that time that those people lost jobs, a lot of data collection was disrupted by the federal shutdown. If you've been like I deal with a lot of government agencies in the work that I do, and lots of government agencies were not open for that month and a half because basically the only jobs that have to go to work, even in the event of a shutdown, are what is termed essential positions. Essential positions. And a lot of positions were not deemed as essential. So when you tried to contact different agencies, you probably got a message or you got put in a tunnel of pushing buttons and going nowhere. So let's translate these numbers for real people. A rising unemployment rate at the same time companies are reporting job gains suggests weakness beneath the surface. Employers haven't been hiring aggressively. And for many job seekers, pace of opportunities is really slow. It's really, and it's always slows in the fourth quarter of the year anyway, because what this is why a lot of job cuts happen in the last quarter, because people have the forecast of what their budgets are going to be for 2026. And if business was not good, which business was not good for a lot of organizations, this is when people lose their jobs. Right around holiday season. What's also notable in the data is that long-term unemployment remains elevated. People have been unemployed for 6 months and longer, as well as the number of people working part-time because they can't find full-time jobs is up also. People are underemployed and unemployed right now. And then you hear about job openings on paper, but when you're applying, just like I said, interviewing and waiting to hear back, the reality often feels very different. Recruiters report that companies are more cautious about bringing on new staff. There's lots of hiring freezes, budget constraints. I know about the hiring freezes because I do recruiting on the side, and I found a candidate for a position. I thought that I was going to make a nice commission before Christmas, and basically after the company completed their interviews, they put in a hiring freeze. So I was notified that the candidate I had, they really, really liked him and they were going to possibly hire him, but then they got a hiring freeze. So, like I said, budget constraints and basically strategic slowdowns. Yesterday in Louisville, Kentucky, I think 16 or 1,800 people lost their jobs. They were laid off by Ford. 16 to 1,800 people laid off one single day. So it's rough out here. And then you see all the videos. People are not going, yeah, people are not making money. People aren't going to strip clubs. People aren't going to concerts. People aren't going out to eat. People don't have their money. And then a lot of job seekers report silence after they submit their applications. There was a concerted effort by a lot of companies to make contact with all candidates, even the ones that weren't going to get the jobs. But it seems like with everything that's going on now, companies have backslid. You're not getting a lot of no letters, which, I mean, that can be a good thing, can be a bad thing. Getting lots of no letters can become frustrating. Again, I talk to people every day and their frustrations with what do I do with my resume? Why is my resume not getting any callbacks? It's crazy out here. People want help with their resumes, but people haven't worked in 6 months. It's like you don't want to keep turning people away, but you have to make a living as well. It's crazy out here. There's another important dimension that's added to this conundrum of things that are happening right now. The labor force participation rate hasn't picked up. And that means people aren't returning to or entering the job market in significant numbers, even as unemployment ticked up. Some workers may have just dropped out of the labor force temporarily, discouraged by slow responses or uncertainty about opportunities. Like I said, you can go to, there are many job openings on LinkedIn, on Indeed. But like I said, if you don't catch the position when it's posted, your resume probably is not going to be seen. Lots of these jobs are getting upwards of 200 resumes an hour, which is discouraging, especially if the position's just been posted for one day. It's crazy. Yeah, people are discouraged and they're just not going back to the workforce. Lots of people are trying their hand at entrepreneurialism. Lots of people. People are so discouraged, and maybe that's a good thing. Maybe it's good that you can be your own boss now. And let's be candid about the psychological impact on people seeing the unemployment rate climb, especially when you notice that it's the highest that it's been in 4 years. And if it's 4.6% on an average, it's probably double that for minorities, particularly FBAs and African Americans. I think it's a 7.6% unemployment rate, which is crazy in itself. People are discouraged. People aren't applying for jobs. And at the same time, policymakers are watching these figures closely. A higher unemployment rate combined with slow job growth puts pressure on decisions around interest rates. President Trump was mad because the Fed Reserve didn't give him the interest rate cuts that he wanted. And the Fed said that it'll probably be a while before they make any more tax cuts because of the threat of inflation. It's almost like the Republicans are peeing in the air and telling us that it's raining. And as we go into the holidays and into the new year, here's what that means. People will become desperate as job opportunities continue to dwindle, as people's unemployment runs out 12 to 18 weeks, I think 26 weeks, something like that. On an average, about 12 weeks of unemployment. And when people get desperate, people do crazy things. We already know how the holidays are. You better, ladies start putting their purses crossways across their bodies with the arm over the purse because, yeah, people are hungry. More so this year than other years. So tonight's conversation isn't about panic. It's about understanding the current labor market with numbers that don't lie. These numbers tell the whole story without context. And we're going to look at it, how it affects everyone, people that are working, people that are unemployed, people that are underemployed. People are watching the jobs reports closely. And tonight we're going to talk about it. What have you done as an individual to prepare for the inflation that's going on? If you're not working, there's lots of people not working. What are you doing to better your chances at getting a job? Or are you just going to wait and hope? You have to do things that are going to better your chances. Hey, something's going on downstairs, but what do you do? I'm an entrepreneur. I have been laid off since June of 2024. Now, I've been fortunate enough that I've been able to survive through entrepreneurial means. And the reason that I know so much about the jobs report is because it's something that I look at on a monthly basis because I work in recruitment. I look at people's resumes on a daily basis. Now, I do have positions that I'm recruiting for, but it's not when you're working with companies, you don't get paid in a week or 2 weeks or something like that. You have to work out the parameters with companies. So lots of times when I have jobs, if I complete the job, I don't get paid for 30 to 60 days. So it's like, it's good that I'm able to do that, but at the same time, there's limitations put on what I can do because lots of times I know I'm going to get paid, but it's down to when the person's going to get paid, when the person get hired, when the person starts the job. It's a lot of that dictates me personally when I get paid. Now, for people that are on unemployment, they get unemployment checks every 2 weeks. That only lasts for about 3 months. So what's crazy is you put money into the unemployment fund year round, but when it comes time for you to put your money into the pocket, you only get 3 months of relief. That's crazy. The average person When they lose a job, the average time that they're unemployed is 120 to 160 days. Now you only have relief for 90 days. And the average time that it takes a person to get another job is between 4 months and 6 months. That's crazy. That is the undue pressure that's put on people. That's why you have people that are working part-time jobs, 2 or 3 part-time jobs. Uber, Lyft, DoorDash. There's a number of sordid ways that people are hustling to make ends meet. It's a crazy time out here. Why are employers fearful of hiring people? It's because there's tariffs. Lots of materials and things that were costing one thing last year, they don't cost that much this year. The products have even changed. I went to the store to get some orange juice the other day, and the companies aren't even selling half gallons of juice. It's a little more than a liter and less than a half a gallon. It's crazy. You have to pay attention because everybody's cutting corners. Even the companies are cutting corners. Things taste differently than they tasted last year because the companies aren't going to tell you that they're struggling because they don't want you to know that they're using inferior ingredients and products to produce the same products that they've been producing. Yeah, it's crazy out here right now. It's crazy out here. I see it on a daily basis. People are frustrated. I see people on LinkedIn complaining all day long. There are good stories. You see people getting jobs, but there's a lot more people that are seeking employment than there are that are getting jobs. And it's like a group thing on LinkedIn where when a person gets the job, everybody congratulates them because right now it's really, really hard if you're not working to get a job. And if you're looking to leave a job, because the best time to look for a job is when you have a job. A lot of people say that, there's no loyalty in business. These companies are not loyal to you. And you have to operate that way. There used to be a time where people would work at one job for 18, 20 years. Nah, you might work at a job for 18, 20 months now, and it's time to make a move. That's just the society that we live in. People learn a new skill, they're ready to get paid for their skill that they learn. They don't want to. That's how things happen. That's how things work. But now is the time that you have to sharpen your tools because you have to stand out in a crowd. If you're out of work right now, you can't do the same. You can't use the same resume. You can't use the same cover letter. You have to, and this may be hard for a lot of people, but you have to write your resume for the job you're trying to get. Because you have about 5 to 10 seconds to get the recruiter's attention. So you have to be strategic in what you say on your resume. Because in a very, very competitive job market, you have to have things on your resume that's going to set you apart. It's going to make you look different than the other competing applicants. It's a competition. And you don't want to look at it like it's a competition, but it's a competition. And it's not about the shiniest, best new resume. And no, your resume has to be tailored for what they want in that job description. They're not going to read through everything that you've done in your career and you did. No, they want to know, can you do what we need you to do right now? Because a lot of jobs will train you, but a lot of jobs don't want to train you. They want to train you as little as possible. They want a ready-made product, and you have to express yourself as ready-made for their job. So you may have 20 jobs that you want to apply for. You may need to do 20 versions of your resume. That's just the world that we live in right now. You have to frame yourself differently than you've done in the past. What you were able to do to get a job 3 years ago, that's not going to work now. A lot of people's resumes don't even get to the recruiter. It gets thrown out by the AI that they have reviewing the resumes before they get to a human. So you have to, there's things that you have to be aware of, and you have to know in this type of volatile work market. That's just the truth of the situation. These companies, these recruiters, and I'm telling you this from a recruiter perspective, they don't want to know what you've done. They want to know, can you do this? And that's what you have to show on your resume. Or you'll continue to not get callbacks, not get no letters, just left on the island. And it's bad because it's Christmas time. It's the holiday season. It's the holiday season. And people like to go all out for Christmas. We talked about this last couple of weeks ago. And I said the best time to go shopping is on December 26th. I'm sticking to that. This is not the year to go into 2026 broke. Because this is what Christmas is meant to do. Christmas is meant for you to spend the last of your, it's the last of your money for the year. And they want it. And they want it. And it's your job to do the same things that they're doing. Get the same results of what you did last year in a different fashion. They're using subpar materials for the stuff that is out here now. You need to be spendthrift. If you got somebody 5 gifts last year, get them 1 gift this year. This is not the year. Those people that lost their jobs before, they probably didn't think that they were going to lose a job 7 days before Christmas, 13 days before 2026. Those people didn't think they were going to lose their jobs. Anybody can lose their job at any time. So you got to be prepared. If you feel like something's going on at your job and you might need everyone needs to look for a job while you're still working. Because that's when you're the most marketable. When you're not working, you're not marketable. I mean, you are, but you're not as marketable as a person that's already working. Because companies would rather take somebody from another company that's already working as opposed to getting somebody off the street. That's the truth. That's the truth. And a lot of companies are promoting from within. So it's hard, and it's going to get harder to get a job. It's going to get harder. Mark my words. It's going to get worse before it gets better. It's going to get worse before it gets better. Nobody is really talking about the Doge cuts, but those are the cuts that happen, basically hit the books in October. $106,000. And we already know that there's been upwards of 300,000 Black women alone that are out of work right now. There are more Black women out of work right now than all other categories of people combined. Yes, Black women, you all are the number one employed of all domestic groups inside of America. Over 300,000. What are people going to do? What's going to happen? Because we know that social services will not be able to handle this influx of people. And there's not enough charity groups to go around. It's already hard enough on them as it is. I'm going to put a poll up right now. And the poll is, have you experienced a job loss in the last 6 months? Oh, I got to figure it out first. Have you lost a job? Wow. The YouTube studio has changed, and I don't think I can put the poll up from where I'm at. Yeah. It's been updated. So, if you've been unemployed in the last 6 weeks, 6 months, just put it in the chat. And if you were unemployed in the last 6 months, what did you do to get a new job? Are you going to spend less money this holiday season? Or is it status quo? I'm still going to spend it. Will things be different this year? We talked about 4 weeks ago, we talked about, will you be cooking big dinners on, well, Thanksgiving is past. Will you be cooking big dinners on Christmas and New Year's? Or is it going to be a different plan? Is one family going to cook Christmas dinner and then you're going to go eat at your other family member's house on New Year's? How are you going to save money over the holidays? How are you going to make it happen? There's a will, there's a way. Is that how we doing? Is that how we doing it this year? If it's a will, it's a way. I'm going to make it happen. I talked to one of my friends today and it was like, they're going to do it. So they're going to go into the year, go into 2026 broke like they went into 2025 broke. Why do we break ourselves for Christmas? What is it about? Is it because it's the last holiday of the year? I mean, why is it Why do we break ourselves for Christmas, regardless? It's like saving is not an option. Spending less is not an option during the holiday season. I got a homeboy that just came back from Brazil. He had a great time. And he talked about how much cheaper it is to live in Brazil. Lots of people are contemplating leaving the States. Lots of people have already left the States. Does this jobs report and how unemployment and inflation are going, has it pushed you to think about leaving the country and going somewhere where living off of $40,000 to $50,000 will have you living well off? Lots of people are taking themselves out of this rat race. Lots of people are taking themselves out of the rat race. I saw a video of a black lady who moved to Thailand. Saw a video of a black lady that moved to Japan. People are leaving the rat race and going to other countries and becoming gainfully employed if they're not working on the internet and being much, much happier than they are here in America. And that's just the truth. It's not just passport bros that are going abroad. There's lots of passport females that are leaving the country, that are moving to Mexico, that are moving to Thailand, that are moving to the Dominican Republic, that are moving to Ghana, that are moving to Nigeria. Are these viable options at this point? Lots of people are scared to leave this Western way of life. It's not too much different outside of the States. Third world country only has to do with the G and the gross national profit of the country. I go to what people say are third world countries, and there's people driving BMWs and Mercedes just like here. People are living good in so-called third world countries. People come to America from other countries and they say we crazy for how we work here. Lots of countries have 4-day work weeks. They don't work. Lots of countries aren't trying to work their population into the ground. It's just the truth. It's just the truth. And I'll be honest, I got to the point where I stopped looking for a W-2 job and I bet on myself. Sometimes you have to bet on yourself. There are times in your life, inflection points, where you have to bet on yourself. And this was one of those times for me. And I went all out. Now, some days I work 20 hours a day. Some days I work 20 hours a day and I don't make any money. But some days I make a lot of money. There's ebbs and flows. And I would rather have control of my time and go through those ebbs and flows as opposed to having to conform myself. And, if I found a W 2 where I didn't have to conform myself, where I could just totally be me and do my job, I would love that. But those jobs are few and far between. Lots of people have to conform. Everybody. If you work for somebody, you have to conform for something. I'm not going to say that. That'll take the conversation somewhere else. Lots of people listen to their bosses more than they listen to their significant others. That's the world we live in right now. Companies know this. Companies know you are fearful of losing your job, which makes you put in more work, do more than you would usually do, from the fear of thinking that you'll lose your job. And the managers are taking advantage of this. Know that they are. Some employers, not all employers. There are still good companies to work for. There are still progressive companies to work for, but it's about getting those jobs. Sometimes it's just best to bet on yourself. That side hustle that you've been doing, that can be your full-time hustle. Yeah. Now, there's nothing wrong with W-2. But like I said, it's a different time now. There is no loyalty. Companies aren't loyal to you. You don't get a 2-week notice when they let you go. They let you go right there and walk you out with your box. I ain't never walked out with no box. I have left. I ain't never walked out with no box. Don't walk out with the box. Don't let them do you like that. Why is it that layoffs happen at the worst time of the year? I think it's incredibly. I mean, that's this. I mean, the way I look at people, the way I look at the layoffs of Ford in Louisville, Kentucky, the way I look at those layoffs, I look at that like an employer letting you work the whole day at work and then laying you off or firing you at 4:45 when you get off at 5 o'clock. They had those people work all year, let you go before Christmas, before your yearly bonuses. And it's calculated to happen that way. It's calculated to happen that way. Most layoffs are going to happen in December and the end of June. December and the end of June. Because when you're laid off at the end of June, they still get the tax credit for the entire year. As long as you work 6 months and a day, they still get that tax credit. But you don't have to be working there for them to get that tax credit. And the people that are let go in December, That's because budgets. Budgets. Stay prepared so you don't have to be prepared. Everyone should be sending out resumes and cover letters, whether you're comfortable in your job or not. Whether you're comfortable or not, you just put it out there to fish. And the best time to fish is when you have a job. There is no loyalty in business. I'll say it again. You have to be looking for jobs while you're working a job. I have 3 friends that have left their jobs or in the process of putting in 2-week notices now. Now, these people were looking for jobs. And like I said, you're more marketable when you're working as opposed to when you're hired off of the street. And that's no diss to finding a job when you're out of work. But when you're out of work, you have to be doing things to better your chances. You have to be looking for certifications. You have to be doing things to keep yourself current in your field. You want to stay current on best practices. You want to stay in tune with what's going on in your field, whether you're working or not. If you're not working, this is the most opportune time for you to get certifications. People that are looking to make industry changes. You have to frame, if you're a person and you're looking to leave one industry and go to another industry, you can't use the same resume for the current industry that you're in. You have to frame your resume for the new industry that you're trying to enter. You have to show how those skills are transferable. You have to. Lots of skills are transferable, but you have to spell it out for the recruiter. You have to spell it out like you're talking to your grandmother that was born in 1913 or 1940, 1950, and you're trying to explain to her cloud computing. You have to explain it to them in layman's terms. You can't write your resume and hide information. You can't, because your resume is like a book. You want to hook people at the foreword. You don't want them to read 2 pages and put your book on the shelf. So it has to be something in the first 5 to 10 seconds to captivate them. You have to get the recruiter's attention from the jump. They can't be trying to search through your resume to find the information they're looking for. And that's what I mean by you have to gear your resume for the position that you're trying to apply for. Even if it's just changing your summary. And in your summary, if it's transferable skills, you want to explain how those skills will transfer to the industry that you're trying to get into. These are just some tips that I'm trying to give out. I wanted to do this show tonight because after I saw the jobs report and I saw that inflation and unemployment was at all-time highs, I had to have this conversation with you all knowing that even if it's 4.6 and it's the highest that it's been in 4 years for the general public, we know that it's probably double for the FBA and the African American community. So these are things that I had to talk about. Just trying to give out a little bit of game. This is a different type of show than the show that I usually do, because it's rough out here. I see people with 5 and 6 masters that have been CEOs at companies. They're looking for jobs too. They're looking for jobs too. So these are just things that you can do to make your chances a little bit better in your job search. We 52 minutes into the show. Hit the like button. Hit the like button. Hit the like button. Shouts out to everybody that's here. If you were able to get a job, leave it in the comments. If you're watching this video if you're watching the replay of this video and you were able to get a job during the fourth quarter, leave what you did in the comments so somebody can see that. Because there's somebody out there that needs to see how you got that job. There's somebody out there that's going to see this video, that's going to take some of the tools that I've given and is going to apply them to the job search. I'm giving you information from over 15 years of recruiting. So I'm just telling you things that I know. We talk about a lot of things on here, and I do a lot of research and I do a lot of studying, but this is one topic that I didn't have to really do studying on. I just had to get the information from the jobs report. And what he said is that people are struggling right now. People are trying to figure out ways to better their lives. People are trying to figure out how to get jobs. So I wanted to do this show just so I could give some information out that I truly know and have mastered. Now, if you need some help or you need a resume refresh, hit me up. I will audit your resume and tell you what you need to do with it. If you're looking to get a job, I can help you get a job. That's what I do. I don't really talk about what I do, but my page is still Mass Appeal, still Dope Conversations, but the tone and some of the topics are going to change. We're still going to talk about relationships and politics, but there's other little stuff that I'm going to sprinkle in as we go forward. But yeah, it's rough out here right now. People are working jobs that they probably said they never would work. But this is not a time of pride. If you have bills to pay, you got to work. It's not pride. If you can get a service job and you're really coming from a white collar, do what you got to do. I talked to a lady the other day. She was an accountant. She lost her job. She's serving tables now. From time to time, I drive, Lyft, and Uber. got to have side hustles. I know people that work full-time jobs and they still drive Lyft and Uber. Men, women, black, white. This is one thing that race really doesn't matter. Every race is out of jobs. There's not a group of people that aren't feeling a crunch this year, even millionaires, billionaires. They're feeling a crunch. They've lost money. Elon Musk lost $240 million in a matter of minutes. So there is not a group of people that is not feeling the crunch. People from all levels of employment are out of work. Like I said, CEOs all the way down to servers. There's a big push now from servers to be paid a regular wage. And I'm a proponent of that. Why should a server be paid $2.35 or whatever it is an hour and be dependent on tips? That's crazy. That's crazy. Servers make two some dollars an hour, and they get taxed on tips. And you got people talking about is 10% enough for a tip? No, 10% ain't enough for a tip. I ain't trying to tell nobody how to tip. But if you get $100 meal, you go out and get $100 meal. $10 is not a good tip. Now, good, tips are to ensure proper service. Now, if you get proper service, you should tip. If you ain't tipping, don't go out to eat. You got somebody serving you food. If you're not tipping, don't go out to eat. These people make $2 and something an hour. And people get mad at them. These people serving you for $2 an hour. Hold on, y'all. Got to take a break real quick. I'm still here, but think about that. These people make $2 and something an hour and they serve you your food and you don't give them a good tip. It's crazy. But yeah, I'm back. Apologies. It's crazy. It's crazy that these people from these so-called third world countries come here to our country and they have more money to spend here in our country than we have to spend when we go to their countries. I'm just saying. and they tell us we work too much. You can't make this stuff up. You can't. Here in America, we get double and triple taxed. Double and triple taxed. It's crazy. We get taxed on the money we spend. We get taxed on the money we earn. We get taxed on the money that we take out of a 401k account. If your house is paid for and you do not pay your taxes on your house, you will lose your house. That's crazy. And then all the money that we're taxed on, they just give it away. And you may not agree with where your tax dollars are going, but tax dollars are going there. I think that's another one of the main reasons that people are leaving America. Excuse me. Other countries don't try to take every nickel from its citizens. We have the best of everything in America. We have the worst pay. You can't make this stuff up. You got to laugh at it to not be mad at it. The political climate, that also has something to do with unemployment rates. Everybody that is hiring doesn't believe in diversity. You could be the best candidate and still not get the job. You could be the best worker and get fired or get laid off. In the political climate that we are in right now. People are just emboldened in the streets. They're emboldened in the boardroom. They're emboldened in their position. They're emboldened in their decision making. Everybody is not cool. There was an entire department of black directors who worked for NBC. And when one, I can't think of her name. When she came in, she laid all the black managers off. In this political climate, you can do that. Now, I didn't start out talking about racial things, but you know we were going to get to it. Yes, people are emboldened. Some people give a fuck about black people working. Some people think, yeah, that with them uppity Negroes. Not everybody, not every company, but lots of company and lots of people. So, yes, there are reasons that certain people don't have jobs. And there's nothing that can be done about that. And then you don't want to work for somebody that doesn't want you to work there anyway. You want to work somewhere where you're valued as a person, as an individual. Because you have to have a strong belief in yourself. But that strong belief has to have some backing. You got to put the work in. But you have to have a strong belief in yourself that you're going to come out on the other end. This is not the time to have a defeatist mentality. You can't. You have to get up every day and look yourself in the eye and say, I'm going to do something to change this outlook. Can't curl up in the corner in the fetal. You got to look it in the eye. You got to push through it. I never get too high or too low because some days are good days and then some days are terrible days. When you're an entrepreneur, it's like that. You're going to have some days that are great where everything goes right and you make money and you get new clients. And then you're going to have some days where you feel like you've put in the same amount of work or a little bit more work and you don't get the traction. But you got to keep going. If you're out there and you don't have a job and it's been 60 days, it's been 90 days, you didn't put in 100 resumes, you done sent in 100 applications, you got to keep going because it only takes one. Now, you chose the jobs that you focused on, but it only takes one. You could get 1,000 no's, but that one yes could be the one that you waited for and needed. But you don't get to that 1,000 unless you keep pushing. You don't get to that 1,000 unless you keep pushing. I talk to people every day that are discouraged. And I try to give them, even though I'm giving them real feedback on their resumes and I'm giving them constructive criticism, I still have to give them some grace. Still, you gotta build people up. But you gotta build yourself up as well. It's always good to have a unit, to have some people that'll prop you up in times of need. Everybody needs that. But sometimes you gotta not call on those people. You gotta push through it. You gotta figure a way. When I went to Clark Atlanta University, we have a motto, and it's funny because I didn't graduate from Clark Atlanta, but I still have friends, many friends. They go there. And it seems like whenever we communicate with each other, we always end our conversations with make a way or find one. You got to make a way or you got to find one. And it's funny that after 30 years, we still say this motto to each other: make a way or find one. And that's what you got to do on a daily basis. You also got to be better than yesterday. That's my motto. Be better than yesterday. And that's what I try to do. I try to be better than yesterday. Because at some point, you're going to get through the storm. You have to motivate yourself. You have to have a strong belief in self. Because when nobody is around and you're contemplating what to do next, it's only you. It's only you. And you can't be mad if nobody helps you. Sometimes people just don't have it to help. You can't get upset at that. You got to find a way or make one. Hit the like button. We're an hour and 13 minutes into the show. Hit the like button for me. Hit the like button. Yeah, I ain't no gimmicks over here. I ain't yassa bossing. I ain't buck dancing. I'm just talking to real. I'm just talking to real. And it's real out here. It's real out here. We must plan. Without a plan, you're destined to fail. You got to plan everything out. And if it's something that you don't do, you got to change. You got to plan. Now, there's nothing wrong for living for the minute and YOLO and all that, but you got to have plans, because the people just telling you YOLO, they had a plan. My neighbor's wilding out. But yeah, I had my own sort of TED talk this week, and I put it on even though it was through my company, I put it on here. I think I'm going to go to that. I'm going to start having people on here and asking questions, having people on here giving valuable information to the people that watch my show. I think that's the least I can do, is give some game. We can have fun sometimes, but sometimes we gotta be serious too. Yeah. Shouts out to my people, to my 1,600 Louisvillians that got laid off yesterday, man. I got y'all in my thoughts. I got another YouTube channel, and it's through my business, Captivative H1. Y'all should follow that page too, because I'm gonna be doing some stuff on that page. That page is gonna be a little bit more white collar and strategic than Maas appeal. But we still go. Like I said, we're gonna have good fun and we're gonna talk about real stuff. But yeah. I just wanted to get on here and give people an understanding of the jobs report that came out. Because before we do end, I have CBS, NBC, CNBC, and PBS. All four different news organizations talking about the same jobs report. And I'm going to play these videos in their entirety. I think the longest one is like 3 or 4 minutes. But I want you to just Fox as well. I think I got Fox. But I just want you to see the slants that they give you to try to make it seem like the jobs report is good, because there wasn't a jobs report for October because we were in the shutdown. So they tried to gloss over those 105,000 people that lost their jobs in October and say, yeah, we had 65,000 new jobs, but that doesn't, there's still an offset, as well as the additional people that were laid off as well. Now, the jobs report came out 2 days ago, and Ford closes down an entire division of their auto plant. 1,600 or 1,800. I need to look the information up. Laid off 6 days before Christmas. That right there lets you know that there is no loyalty. There is no loyalty. We have to move strategically. You have to move strategically. Your resume has to be strategically. And if you do not have an LLC or a tax ID number, you need to get one so that you are seen as a business and not a consumer. Because when you have a tax ID number and you have an LLC, you're afforded over 350 deductions that you're entitled to as a business owner, as opposed to the 3 deductions that you have as a consumer. So I implore everyone out there that if you do not have a home-based business, you should start one, preferably before December 31st, so that you can be an LLC for the entire year of 2025. Just a little bit more game. Because when you have an LLC and a tax ID, you have lots of business expenses. You go on business trips as opposed to going on vacations. There's just different things that you can do to make your money go farther. So yeah, them pies and those cakes that you make, sell a few of them bad boys on the weekend and get an LLC. Those model cars that you make and you race, sell them. Sell a couple of them and say you're an authorized RC dealer and get all your money back for the business expenses that you have. Move as a corporation and not a consumer. Your money will go farther. There are ways to survive when you don't have a job and your prospects are bleak. But you have to be creative. You have to have a service or a product that you can go into business with. And that can be a product that you can touch, or that can be intellectual property in your head that you can create. My friends ask me, why you got a YouTube page? Why are you doing YouTube? Because you have to have your own NIL, name, image, and likeness. You have to be able to make some money on yourself. Because if I wasn't trying to get monetized, there would be no reason for me to come on here. And I have to let people know being on YouTube is not easy. It's not easy getting on here and talking in front of this camera and coming up with different topics and knowing what you're talking about. It's not easy. It's fun, but it's not easy. Everybody ain't built for everybody looking at them. And it's not like you got a crowd here. You're just looking into the camera. But a lot of people don't understand the confidence that it takes to get on here and talk. People think it's just yeah. But gotta have your name, image, and likeness has to be a part of your plan. It has to be a part of your plan. I'm a talker. So yeah, why not do YouTube? Why not get on Instagram? Why not get on Rumble? I'm on all of them. Twitch. Why not? I'm a gamer. And I'm gonna play the game tonight. And I'm gonna log back in. I'm gonna get on the game and I'm gonna game. On Twitch and on name, image, and likeness. Why not? I ain't got no skeletons in the closet. I ain't got no secrets. Ain't nobody here ain't come on my live and say nothing stupid about me. But yeah, it ain't easy. To the haters out there, it ain't easy getting over here and talking. It wasn't easy getting almost 2,200 subscribers. I feel fortunate. I remember when I started doing this and I didn't have nobody watching. I didn't have no followers. I was terrible. I was terrible when I first got on YouTube. But now it's getting better. I think the best is yet to come, but it's getting better. But yeah, we're on here tonight talking about the jobs report, unemployment, strategies to combat unemployedness, and just the holiday season and being a spendthrift. That's what we're talking about tonight. Probably got about 10 or 15 more minutes. We're an hour and 25 minutes into the show. I don't have no comments. So I guess everybody's enjoying what I'm saying. Ain't nobody cussed me out yet. But yeah. You have to be strategic. And like I said, the best time to look for a job is when you have a job. You're marketable. Just like I said, companies would rather steal somebody from another organization, even though they won't put it like that. They would rather steal somebody from another organization, pay you more money, as opposed to having to pay somebody off of the street. It's just, I'm telling you the real. Even if you're not looking to leave or you're leaving, put your resume out there. anonymously. Anonymously. But yeah, put your resume out there. Even if you just say, "No, I don't want to take the interview." Just put your resume out there to see what you can hook. You never know. And when you're doing these things, you're looking for the level up position. When you do this, you're not looking laterally. People, there's no reason to ever make a lateral move when leaving a company. Never. I never advise any of my clients. They come to me to talk about their resumes. I never advise them on making a parallel move. Every move is an upward move. That's strategic. You don't leave one job to go to another job and make the same amount of money. And if you leave a job, your goal is to get at least $12,000 at the minimum. At the minimum, you want to add $500 to $1,000 more on each pay period. You don't make lateral moves. You don't leave an $85,000 job to go to a $90,000 job. That's not smart. You really want at least $20,000 to $24,000 when you make a move, because that guarantees you $1,000 more per paycheck. It's not strategic to leave a job that you're making $60,000 for to go for 68, 65. That's not strategic. The company is winning. You didn't win. You think you won. You didn't win. You added about $200 on your paycheck. That's not strategic. It's not strategic. If you're not leaving a company to get at least $12,000, you're making a bad move. You really want $20,000 to $24,000 when you leave to go to a new position. No lateral moves. That is not strategic. That is you leaving one problem and going to another. Yeah, I never advise my clients to leave a job for less than $12,000 more at the bare minimum. If I get an offer that is not at least, I'm laughing at it. That's an automatic counter. And if not, you don't leave. You don't leave a known commodity somewhere you've been working. You know the inner workings. You know what you got to do to get by. You don't leave that for uncertainty for less than $12,000. It's not strategic. Sometimes you have to. But yes, you want to target at least $12,000, which is $1,000 a month on salary, $500 a paycheck. But you really want $1,000 more each paycheck. If you're leaving for uncertainty, You want to be compensated for having to go and create a whole new work ecosystem. You don't leave where you're at, certainty, unless it's a bad situation. Now, I preface that by saying that, unless it's a bad situation. But your ultimate goal when you leave one job for another is at least $12,000 more in salary. And no lateral moves. That's why it's best to look for a job when you have a job. Because 9 times out of 10, if you're looking for a job without a job, you're going to have to go in at the same level unless you frame your resume correctly. Because when you go into these interviews and you've been out of work for 6 months to a year, one of the main questions we as recruiters ask you is, what have you done to stay current with the industry? It's the first question you're going to get. What have you done to stay current in the industry? And if you don't have a good, cogent answer, you've already lost. You've already lost. So even though you're not working, you have to stay abreast of the best practices of the current trends in your industry. You do that through professional groups, education, certification, engaging in professional groups. If there's a networking event in your industry, go to those. Three out of four jobs are not found through the internet, through job boards. 3 out of 4 jobs are found through networking. 75% of your jobs that you're going to find, you're going to find them through networking. If you're not in any networking groups, you're doing your job search a disservice. Because when you go to these networking groups, they no openings. And if they don't, you make connections with them and, oh, I know somebody in my such and such professional group. They do. That's how you're going to get a job. So if you're not networking, you're not engaging in your industry, you're doing yourself a disservice. Now, there are a lot of people, there's a lot of flack and stuff coming out about LinkedIn. A lot of people are saying that LinkedIn is pay to play and this, that, and the other. But LinkedIn is one of the best places to network. They have all types of classes, videos, people doing all types of videos where you can learn, you can stay current in your industry. You can network with people in your industry. You can join groups in your industry on LinkedIn. Now you got to engage, you got to get in, you got to talk to people, you got to post, you got to do things like that. But the job search is about marketing yourself. And you don't just market yourself with your resume. That's just one of the marketing tools. And the resume really just gets you in the door to come in to explain yourself. I got a resume tip before we end this show. And the resume tip that I have tonight is do not inflate what you do. I'm going to repeat that. Do not inflate what you do. If you didn't do it, don't say you did it. You can't talk, lots of answers, you can't talk around, you can't weave your. Don't inflate what you've done. It's not a good thing. Those are the worst interviews. When people inflate their resumes and then you come in and you ask them specifically on the stuff that they exaggerated on and they can't speak to it. And then that makes you look real bad. So never inflate your resume because you don't know what the recruiter is going to ask you. I'm just giving you the real. It's nothing worse than an exaggerated resume. You may get called in for the interview and then you make an ass out of yourself. And like I said earlier, people in here probably weren't here when I was having this conversation earlier. You need to look at job search like a job. So when I was saying that if you got, and I exaggerated, I mean, not really, but if you got 20 jobs that you're looking at, you want to look at the job descriptions. You want to look at what they're looking for. Because just a generic resume, just sending your generic resume is not going to get it. Your resume has to be geared to what they're asking for in the job description. And the only way that you do that is to write your resume in the tone of the position you're looking for. Because the recruiter is not going to search through your resume to find what they're looking for, unless they've been intrigued by your intro. Your intro on your resume should always be geared for the job that you're looking for, even if you don't change any of the verbiage on your job descriptions that you have, describing what you've done. Your introduction should always be geared to the job you're applying for. That's how you hook the recruiter. That makes the recruiter want to look through your resume. And that's what I meant by you got to write your resume for every job that you're looking for. You can send that generic resume that you send to, because I know y'all all do it. You can send that generic resume that you send to all the jobs, and you're not going to get chosen because your resume is how you want it, not how the recruiter wants it. And the recruiter wants a resume that's going to speak to them, to their job description. You could have all the experience, you could have all the certifications, you could have all the information, but if it's hidden in the wording of your resume, it's not going to get read. Just some game coming to you from a recruitment executive. I'm trying to tell you how to market yourself and make yourself a little bit better in the eyes of a recruiter. Because a recruiter's not going to search through your resume to find what they're looking for. Unless you've said something in the intro to catch their attention. Just some words of wisdom. Some words of wisdom. I think with this angle that I'm going, I'm not sure if I'm going to be doing the sex show on Friday nights. I haven't decided. But there will be a sex show tomorrow night. I just haven't decided if going forward, if it kind of agrees with the model that I'm moving into. But yeah, tonight we talked about the unemployment rate, the jobs report, the negative 38,000 job loss for the period of October and November. October, 105,000 people lost jobs. In November, 65,000 new jobs were gained. And they're trying to highlight that without talking about the October numbers, because the October numbers did not come out because we were under shutdown. But you can't look past those numbers and talk about the 65,000 without talking about the 105,000 positions that were added to the numbers in October. And most of those jobs were federal jobs that were cut in the DOGE program. Department of Government Employees, DOGE. So we talked about that. We talked about some strategies of how to present yourself better in these hard times, how to differentiate yourself in a pool of thousands of resumes. You got to be a needle in the haystack. You got to be shiny. We talked about these things. I hope I have said something that will help you, if you're out there underemployed or unemployed, to get the job that you're looking for. And you can always hit me up if you want some one-on-one consultation. I do hit me up. I didn't give all the game. I just gave some of it. But yeah. And then my writing game, my pen, my resume writing pen is like a rapper. Yeah, I write my resumes. You have lots of, and I'll say this. You have lots of companies, lots of people who saying that they are resume gurus and they've never been recruiters or they've never been a writer. These are people that are taking your money and just putting your resume into ChatGPT and giving you what it spits out. You got to know how to write. It's got to look, it's got to have a, now I will say this, I do use ChatGPT, but I write out my clients' resumes before I even put it through ChatGPT. So it's different. It's different. Then there's different things that you have to tell. There's different things that you have to do. Yeah, it ain't easy. You can't just put a resume in, and because ChatGPT will add information in that's not truthful. It will. So be careful when getting a resume writing service. You want to speak with someone who has actually worked in HR, been a recruiter, looked at resumes on a daily basis. That is the person that is going to be able to help you the most, because they're telling you what they're looking for. I'll leave on that. But yeah, if you're using the same resume in 2026 that you were using in 2025, you're losing. You're not winning. You have to adjust. When you keep sending a resume in and you're not getting callbacks or you're not getting the results, it's the resume. It's the resume. Believe me when I tell you that. It's the resume. I hope I said something that helps you to be better prepared for your interview or resume or whatever it is. I'll be back tomorrow with a show. 11 p.m. Boy Maas. Hope I said something that y'all enjoyed. If I don't see you tomorrow night, I'll see you Tuesday. Have a good weekend.